फर्स्ट पैनल डिस्कशन और इस डिस्कशन के बाद हम जो हमारे अवार्ड सेरेमनी है उसे कमेंस करेंगे। हम पहले शुरुआत करेंगे पैनल डिस्कशन के साथ, जिसमें बहुत सी ज़रूरी बातें, कुछ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इन्फॉर्मेशंस हम सभी तक पहुंचाई जाएंगी। आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी रियली एनलाइटनिंग सेशन फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस। May we please request everyone to be seated.
लास्ट टाइम में चेंज हो जाते हैं, फिर क्या करेंगे? अब ईवी की टीम कहीं कहाँ है, दिख नहीं रही।
Ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments, we will be commencing the first panel discussion, which is on the policy and regulatory landscape to accelerate energy transition in the transport sector through electrification. इस पैनल के साथ हम शुरुआत करेंगे सबसे पहले, और उसके बाद जो हमारी फेलिसिटेशंस हैं, चाहे वो अक्रेडिटेड एनर्जी ऑडिटर्स के लिए हो या फिर रिटायर्ड स्टेट डेजिग्नेटेड एजेंसी ऑफिशियल्स के लिए हो, ये सारी फेलिसिटेशंस इस पैनल डिस्कशन के बाद हम प्रेजेंट करेंगे। Requesting everyone to be seated, please, so that we can begin with the first panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now commence with the first panel discussion on the policy and regulatory landscape to accelerate energy transition in the transport sector through electrification. May I please invite Sri Sudhendu Jyoti Sinha ji, Advisor Niti Ayog, to lead this session with his keynote address as well as moderate this session with the fellow panelists. Let's have a louder applause, ladies and gentlemen. जोरदार तालियों के साथ श्री सुधेंदु ज्योति सिन्हा जी का अभिनंदन करते हैं, Advisor नीति आयोग. May I request the panelists to also please join us on the dais. Shri Abhay Bakre ji, DG, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, बहुत-बहुत अभिनंदन. May I invite Shri A.K. Rajput, Member Power Systems from CEA, बहुत-बहुत अभिनंदन. Ladies and gentlemen, join hands in welcoming our panelists. Shri N. Janaya, VC and MD, Telangana State Renewable Energy Development Corporation. Let's welcome Shri N. Janaya on the stage. And may I now invite Dr. Ritu Singh, DGM EESL, to kindly please join us on the stage. She looks after the e-bicycle program. जोरदार तालियों के साथ सभी का अभिनंदन. Ladies and gentlemen, emissions from internal combustion engine vehicles contribute to air pollution, particularly with particulate matter posing health risks. Shifting to electric vehicles requires suitable ecosystems and policies, including public charging infrastructure development. Stakeholders need to align charging capabilities and policies with the transition to EVs. May I please request the chair of the session to kindly please take over the deliberations from here. Sir.
Sorry. Okay, thanks a lot. We are into this panel session, the first panel session, and the theme is on the regulatory landscape. Basically, we would be analyzing that what exactly is the shortcoming in the existing framework of regulations that are there in the country, the policy paradigm that is there in the country, and what all we can be, how can we make it better. So, as we are aware that there are some 35 to 40 countries are there which have taken to electric mobility all over the world. Countries where substantial number of vehicles are there. And if you see these countries, that what has acted as enabler other than education and awareness, regulatory and policy perspective, policy support of the government is definitely there. So, because world over countries are of different type, sometimes there are countries where the municipal systems are very strong, where the mayoral systems are there. So Europe, for example, what they have done is that the European Union, they have given a kind of mandate, and then the state governments, the countries' legislatures, they have kind of given, the federal governments have come out with another mandate, and all almost in sync with that, followed by, the state governments and then the municipal systems. So at the end point, you would see that it is the municipal system that is kind of implementing them. There are different countries where the political structures are different, where the constitutional structure is different. So they have got different methods of doing it. In India, we have a broad understanding, if I just tell you, that there are some national programs which are driven from the center, and there are state EV policies that are driven by the states. The idea is that the ownership of sustainability, energy transition, electric mobility, that should be with the states. The states must own up that they should go for EV policy. And we are aware that, this is not an easy task to convince the state that you have your policy. It's a very, very difficult task. So if I give you just a sense of it, then from Niti Aayog, we were struggling with all 36 states and union territories to go in for a state EV policy. And after 29 months, one state, that was Karnataka, in September 2017, they said that, okay, we are going for an EV policy. But as it happens in India, the demonstration effect is very, very pronounced. So in next 29 months, 9 states joined. And another 23 months, 19 states joined. Today, 33 out of 36 states and union territories, they have got state EV policies. And good number of them have revised their policies, amended them. Now they understand that what is the significance of these EV policies, how does electric mobility policy, electric vehicle policy attract investment, How does it bring about more tax revenue to the state? How does it bring about prosperity to the state citizens? This is what they have now understood. So with that kind of initial just a tee off, let me take it to the eminent panel members and let's listen to their views on the regulatory framework, on the policies which are there for supporting electric mobility for this transition. And all of them have been, party in some way or another. So let's start from Mr. Bhakre, that what is in his views. Let's have first the initial thoughts, and then we will ask you that where exactly you think that we should have made it good. And of course, there is always time to make it good. That is what we are going for. So over to you, Mr. Bhakre.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Surendu, Senior Advisor, Niti Aayog. So I'll pick up from what you said very rightly. We have a federal system, and we have the from the governance structure, we have the central list, the concurrent list, and the state list. Now, if we talk about the e-mobility, which is having the huge potential of reducing the carbon footprint. So, a country like India, which is a developing country, we expect a huge growth, and if the economy is growing, say around 7.5%, the transport sector will grow something around 8 to 8.5%, or sometimes 9%. That has the CAGR for past 2 decades. Now, if you disturb that initial system, which is going to a high carbon transport sector, predominantly by ICE engine and all these things, what do we really, from where to start? So we started from, as a policy, from the central government. But this is the challenge, as you rightly said, and what next can be done is what, in my opinion, and based on the challenges we faced. And again, what B has witnessed when such situation has come. There are many more sectors when we are talking about energy efficiency in buildings. Now, buildings predominantly handled by the states. The agriculture, mostly the policies are driven by the state departments and state policies. Now, so the e-mobility also comes in the similar category. Because at one point, yes, the center is coming out with FAME scheme and other policies, the MOP guidelines, charging. So at the end, it is the state who has to take a call. If we see the success stories on renewable, etc., even though there is a huge kind of a push from the center side, states have actually responded. So those states who really responded in terms of solar policy, wind policies, they encouraged the setting up of development. Similarly, those EV policies, which were more encouraging, more incentivizing to the consumer, to the other stakeholders, those states have started witnessing a larger adoption or the higher growth of adoption. Now, what next can be done? Like similar again challenges, e-mobility comes to slightly more than one department. So at center, like Niti is coordinating all the efforts at the center level, and different line ministries are taking action, DHI, MOP, etc. At state level, I believe there should be a nodal agency, which already is there in the form of SNA. But as a SNA, when they are coming out with the policies, which I have, when we have discussed with the states, these policies are depending on the kind of mandate which that department is there. So different states have designated different agencies, or the agencies which are belonging to different departments at the state level. Now that resulted in that particular department giving incentives or coming out with those attributes in the policies which are within that mandate. So a comprehensive state policies is there in only few states. So more and more the state goes into detail what the stakeholders decide, what are the exact pain points of the state actors in accelerating e-mobility. If that is addressed, and maybe even Niti Aayog can actually guide them with a model policy, and Bureau will definitely be happy to support Niti. But I think the states should discuss or perhaps learn the best practice from different states, and they have to own up the e-mobility transition. If that is the case, I think the e-mobility adoption will be much more simpler, much more consumer friendly, and will be at a much faster rate. That's what I believe in terms of policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bakre. So, in the beginning of 2021, we had launched a program at NITI, what we called EV policy, state EV policy accelerator program. So, states which did not have any idea about the EV policy, we were kind of, supporting them, guiding them, first telling them that this is doable. First telling them that this is advantageous to have an EV policy, because the investor, from investor's perspective, the first thing that they look after is the EV policy. Yes. So after Mr. Bakre, I'll move on to, because you have mentioned about the states. So Mr. Janaiya, you represent a state. So maybe if you can let us know what exactly is the state's perspective on the regulatory landscape and policy landscape.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir, and Sudhendra Garu and Abhay Bakre, sir, and other panelists. Definitely, states will have important role. Yeah, myself, Janaya, Vice Chairman, Managing Director for the Telangana State Renewable Energy Development Corporation, which is also the state implementing agency for the e-mobility and also the energy storage solutions of Telangana state. And definitely one of the important topic we have been discussing here. States will play a crucial role in adapting to the nation's need and also the need of the hour, and being upcoming new state, we have also adapted the policy in 2020 itself, and we are harnessing a lot of growth in our state so far, and all the regulatory decisions which are being framed were also being implemented in our state. Tariff structure and also the policy on the public EV charging stations, and also the role of state and also the other line departments like transport department, industry department, and various stakeholders meetings were also being organized in our state. So far the achievement is somehow we are reaching it to 15 to 20% of the state EV sector is growing in our state, and we are developing EV common infrastructure for the common man like fleet operators like Uber and all those things with the National Clean Air Fund program, which is being given by the government of India to all the states, and we are happy to inform you that our government is allocating major chunk of the fund to this sector so that we can penetrate the charging infrastructure in and around the Hyderabad and also the other major cities of the Telangana. In such a way, we are moving towards, and also the time of delivery of tariff structure is first of all given by our DISCOMs and also the Electricity Regulatory Commission, which is unique, and lot of other incentives like registration fee exemptions and all those things like tariff and road tax exemption, life tax exemption, and we have one dedicated e-mobility valley, two exclusive zones of more than 300 acres each near the Hyderabad, where we can develop the infrastructure for the manufacturing sector and also other line departments which are being exclusively for the e-mobility. Likewise, we are going into this segment, and definitely our transport sector is already having more than 100 buses so far, and they have asked us to go in for the retrofitment of the RTC buses also. We have now planning, and we have already executed more than 300 retrofitment of three-wheeler autos, for which 15,000 rupees per kilowatt hour incentive is being provided by the state in our Telangana. Likewise, we are going, sir, and
Thank you. So you very rightly said Hyderabad. So ASCI, Administrative Staff College of India at Hyderabad, they were the first to have come out with precisely, with mathematical calculation, they came out with the siting principle for a charging infrastructure. They identified that in this city, which should be the exact locations where the charging infrastructure should be set up. So they are very, very, ambitious as far as electric mobility is concerned. We move on to Dr. Ritu. Dr. Ritu is from EESL, but her stream is on micro mobility, on bicycle infrastructure. But that is a very important infrastructure. So if I say that the future of India, the India that's, let's say, 20 years down the line, the movement in urban areas will not be with private vehicles alone. They will be primarily on the public transport, the walking, and the cycling infrastructure. I have myself seen Germany transforming itself in last 8 years, the way they have taken to cycling infrastructure. Netherlands, they have completely on cycling infrastructure. Yes, over to you, Dr. Ritu Singh, regarding this policy landscape, and yes, the cycling infrastructure.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Ritu Singh. I work in Energy Efficiency Services Limited, and we are promoting electric bicycle program through our subsidiary unit, which is 100% owned by EESL, that is Convergence Energy Services Limited. So thank you for providing us this opportunity and this platform to talk about electric cycle, because we have been working on this program since last 1 year. Once this concept was given to us and we understood that the technology exists there, but there's a lot of gap in its adoption. So first, our effort was to understand where the gaps are. So we found that the gaps are from both sides. It is from the demand side and from the supply side. Now, specifically, because we are talking about the policy, so from supply side, if we talk about, and if you know electric cycle, so it has major 4 components: battery, controller, frame, and its motor. So the regulation that we have seen through CMVR, it talks only about for these micro mobility. Its speed limit is 25 km per hour, and the battery capacity motor capacity should be 250 watt, which is not enough for any product to be, if we have to promote it at a larger scale. So if with respect to policy, there is no standardization of the product for electric cycle, number 1. Number 2, although we are promoting electric mobility through FAME 1 and FAME 2, and now FAME 3 is also coming up, but there we lack to include electric cycle because it doesn't have a license, or it doesn't have a registration. I think that is the biggest challenge that is being faced by this segment. And if we have to promote our suppliers, the manufacturers, so I think if you have seen the cycles on the road, I'm talking about the normal cycles also. So the market is being captured by only few of the big manufacturers. But there are a lot of startups that have come up in this sector, and they are working on assembling of electric cycles. They are promoting it as a cycle as a service. But there are not much incentive to either for its, when we talk about in its manufacturing, or when we talk about any incentive which is being given to the end consumer, that is the riders. The riders, if I talk about, so if you have seen after this FAME 2 was announced, I think it was in FAME 1. So, and some state, I think they talked about two-wheeler, but it was not specifically mentioned about electric cycle, number 1. Number 2, it was also, some of the state took the incentive of promoting electric cycle. One was Delhi and the second was Punjab. But for some reason, the discount, the subsidy provided by them for commute and the cargo cycle, that was for 5,000 and 15,000 respectively, but it didn't pick up the market. So I think there are a lot of gap that we see with its production because it is not linked with the production linked incentive. And because most of the component, the major component are still like battery cells are being imported. So I think that is again creating a challenge when it comes to its pricing, because when manufacturers do not have enough incentive and the production efficiency by them is not gained so far. So that is why to the market segment to which we are looking for these electric cycle, it becomes unaffordable for them. So my here submission and request to Bureau of Energy Efficiency and also to Niti Aayog would be to describe or to include this or to design a conducive policy for electric cycle, because as you rightly mentioned, the future is with electric cycle. It is not only for the urban area. Majorly we see in the rural area where you still have our infrastructure which is free and where you have to promote electric mobility. But instead of promoting something else, because the travel requirement itself is very like 15 to 20 kilometers, which can be served by electric cycle. And when I talk about Bureau of Energy Efficiency, because there are many SDAs are sitting here, so we must demonstrate this technology in your region so that people start getting aware about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ritu. So, yes, we should have supported it, yes. But let me just tell you that, in the month, sometimes in the month of March 2021, when we were evaluating, kind of thinking that how exactly is our performance on FAME 2, and we could realize that the performance was so bad that we could not even share it with someone. So precisely, now I can of course tell you, our performance at that time was that as against the target, our achievement was 3.5%. So the target was, let's say, 1 million two-wheelers. Then we were almost close to 35,000 that was being supported. So this was the time when we passed through. Then we decided that we should completely go in for re-strategizing FAME 2, and that was the time when we picked up ESL from Ministry of Power, and we told them that you should be driving our bus program as well as for the aggregation of three-wheelers. And today, when we are almost closing down on FAME 2, let me tell you with tremendous satisfaction that in majority of the segments, we have been able to almost achieve our target. So this is what the change has been there. So yes, over to you, Mr. Rajput. Let's find out what you have to say on the policy, on the regulatory landscape.
Good afternoon, dignitaries, and good afternoon, everyone. I am A.K. Rajput, member Power Systems. Basically, as far as power systems role is concerned in this whole e-mobility or the electric transportation, the electricity is one of the components which acts as a fuel in this one. One thing is that electricity should be affordable. Through the regulatory measures, different state electricity regulators have fixed the different norms for supply of electricity to the electric vehicle charging infrastructure. And accordingly, the EVCI owners supply that electricity to the users of the car for charging of their batteries. A cap has also been put on that because it came to the notice that some were charging too high. So that was deterrent to the promotion of the e-mobility. One thing is very clear, and that says that any technology will grow, but in the initial phases, it needs the policy support, the financial incentives, and also a great coordination among the different ministries and the users. Similarly, the stakeholders, that is the manufacturers, should know clearly that what is the demand in the market. Then comes the value of the standardization. For that, BIS is doing a lot, but there is a need to speed up. And also, we should harmonize our standard with the international standards as far as possible. And only the ambient conditions changes in case of India as compared to the European world or whatsoever has been specified in the IEC standards. So that is one aspect. DISCOMs are the real backbone. Their conditions are not hidden from anyone. So their interests also need to be protected. Otherwise, how they will supply the electricity? Another is that DISCOMs have to compensate themselves in terms of the revenue, not through charging of the consumers, but also through the loss reduction. Government is giving a lot of emphasis on the loss reduction through RDSS and also the smart metering program. One more hurdles comes, which we noticed and analyzed in the past, that the states are having, particularly the DISCOMs, the different practices to release a certain kilowatt of the connection to EVCI owner. Suppose somewhere it is only 50 kilowatt, In case of Delhi, it is more than 150 kilowatt also. Giving the supply at LT level. If say it is 50 kilowatt, the load is too less, and the EVCI owner is asked to lay the 11 kV infrastructure, that is the 11 kV cable from the network of the DISCOMs, he cannot afford because the cables are costly. So something need to be done. Then coordinated approach is a must, and also we are talking on various forums, though it's a regulatory matter, but it also to the policy that whatsoever the critical materials are there, of course we have the advanced chemistry, this battery program for manufacturing of the battery in the country. At the same time, we should focus on, because we are not having the critical materials in abundance with us, we are dependent on import and also dependent on cells. So recycling business should start, and recycling should be done through a effective R&D modalities. As far as Ministry of Power is concerned, when we sanctioned some amount to CPRI, we specifically wrote that specific projects we invited from the scientists and the academic institute on recycling of the battery and other power system based. Another challenge which will come in future, not very now, not in the instant future, but later on, hydrogen will also find its place. That's okay, because the diesel is there, petrol is there, it's the choice. Hydrogen will come, may not be in the cars initially, but in the heavy duty trucks. So we should have some space, and we should not put all the eggs in a one basket to avoid the risk. And that imminent risk is, in case of the EV, that of the grid failures at a time. At the time of the grid failure, you need lot of movement, and at the time of the grid failures, the law and order situations also may become worsened. So that aspect we have to see strategically. Another concern of the user is time taken in the charging, and many users are not having the suitable spaces of their own where they could charge. They park their vehicle either in the streets or somewhere. So that becomes a hurdle. So for that, the charging pools, you can say, or the charging locations, maybe the bus depot are meant for the charging of the buses, but they are having the sufficient space, and the private EVCI through under some leasing arrangement or what should also be provided to the EV users. Fleet owners are using their own charging facilities in a mass scale. Next item is the swapping of the batteries model. That also need to be promoted, because it's faster, will give the employment opportunities to many, and it will help in readjusting or say adjusting the renewable fluctuations. So at the time of the excess of the renewable energy, those timings could be decided, and they be controlled through the load centers or the distribution control centers, and they be allowed to charge at that time. Another thing is that we have to digitize, lot of work has been done in this direction also, that where the functional EVCI are there, and what are their operating time, the type of chargers, and their operating hours. So it's necessary that I need a charging, but when I reach to the location, the premises is closed. State EV policies have accelerated the program. That's a good thing, because there is acceptance from the states also. So they are the major stakeholders. And certainly there should be some of the stations, like we have the medical stores on 24/7 basis. So identify 24/7 operating EVCI we should have. We do not know when the emergency may come. One of the things which I do not know how missing from the policy makers and those, in France their tractors are also running on the electricity. We can think of after a proper study, because tractors are not an essential load. They are used seasonally and during the daytime mostly. So during the night time, when we have the off-peak period from the grid, they can be charged easily. And another thing is, those tractors or whatsoever the other vehicles are there, there is concept of V2X or V2G commonly, vehicle to grid. That also need to be started if it is advantageous to some of them. So it could give a good business model. So that's all I would like to say. Safety, of course, safety standards from CA are also there. Safety regulations are also there, and connectivity standards are there. They are must. And one more thing which has come to the notice, the worst condition of the this electric discharges from the atmosphere, our EVCI should be protected against that by suitable surge protective devices. Sometimes we neglect and we count only number that say 100 numbers or 200 numbers we have installed, but sometimes we lose this aspect of the safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajput. You raised a set of challenges that you mentioned, and also you identified that what are the possible inclusions in future that should be there in the part of regulation, part of policy. So of course, you know that, we are panel members are there, so all of them are so learned that they can keep on speaking for hours together. But I was just wondering if I give you opportunity to ask some of your questions, that will be better. Otherwise, you will be lost into your WhatsApp. Please, questions you can ask, and you can identify who is to respond, and they would be responding. Yes, sir. Now let's see, some more hands are raised. Okay, so you will start then. Okay, you have got questions. Please, sir, over to you. I was just wondering, could we have a mic? Do we have, or do we ask them to raise the voice? But anyway, it's all right. Should we give the mic? So like, yes, sir. For your question.
Yeah, good afternoon to everybody. Quite interesting points raised. As a layman trying to understand this electric mobility issue, one concern which I have is that the first movers who have now owning vehicles, we find that most of them are people in urban areas who go for work in the morning, get back home in the evening, and plug in their vehicles at home for charging. Now, when you look at the issue as a whole, they are at night, they're obviously using fossil fuel power from coal-fired stations to charge the electric vehicles. How do we ensure that in urban areas especially, and people who would be going to workplaces, are able to charge their vehicles during daytime when solar power is being injected into a system, so that it becomes, electric vehicles really become green? I just wanted to know whether is there any, and as Mr. Rajput rightly said, when a person goes to the workplace, his employer is using his transformers for his work, the commercial building activity, whatever, running factories. Now, if he has to provide additional charging facility for the people who work in that campus, is there any policy move to encourage factory owners, large building owners, to provide the so-called electrical infrastructure so that people charge their vehicles during daytime and it is finally on green solar power and not coal-fired fossil?
Fair enough. So like charging during daytime. Mr. Bakri, this is your question.
Yeah, so thank you. That's very important. So in the FAME 2, when the first TOI came out from DHI, so this was called as a public charging, but without any commercial aspect. So it's something like if there are 200 people working in an office or office building, there is a water connection. So the employees of that office, can use that water, they can use their electricity, they can use their air conditioning. It is the same thing. You can, the employer or the corporate or company, they can always provide a charging station for their employees who can come there, who can park their vehicle, charge it during the daytime. They can use solar power. That's a good idea. They can even, if they want, they can even charge a minimal, some flat amount from the employees also. But that charging station cannot be used by some common citizen or common public to come there, give payment and then charge it. So in the first category, there was a 100% subsidy permitted by DHI in that. Although many offices use that, but I think as a employer policy itself, there are many corporates, there are many institutions, colleges, etc. Even you can see there is a charger outside here only. So I think this is a good practice that every employer should encourage. And I think there are states like Telangana, Andhra. Yeah, most of their offices they have provided there. And as you rightly said, there is a good, yeah, and IT companies, yes. And there is a good case that they can use their solar power to charge it. The only issue is that it should not be used on a commercial basis. It should be a facility for their bona fide employees who are coming there. And it may include visitor also. If they are bona fide visitor, they can also use it. But that's a good policy which should be encouraged. Thank you.
Yes.
Second.
More questions?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So he is my reserve. Yes, you.
Thank you very much. I am Suresh Mahana, Indian Chief Electricity, SDA, Odisha. We have come up with gears for promote EVs, and within a year we have reached from 4% to 6.5%. We've changed our policy. I think I just to share my experience here that the two-wheelers are getting promoted. They are very much comfortable charging at their residences, and four-wheelers they generally move outside cities, maybe 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. So in this scenario, I have started a program. On my rooftop of my office, I am going to install in this month 65 kilowatt solar panels capacity with a free charging station to public. So in this way, I will let the people know they themselves can install solar charging stations, and it will be a business for the people also staying beside the national highways. That is my aim. In this scenario, at present, the crisis is that our OERC, Odisha, has reduced the EV charging charges from rupees 550 to rupees 5. Just 1 month back.
Oh, wonderful. So it's an experience that you are sharing, right? It is
Yes.
the best practice that you are sharing. So maybe you share it with the ministry, with Niti Aayog, so that we are able to take it and get it replicated in other states also. So it's okay. There is no question as such. So
another thing is the safety may please be taken into account, because so many charging stations are coming up. The safety aspects are. I am the principal chief electrical inspector. I am also looking up the safety, and safety aspects are also not being taken into account, because charging stations are built by themselves, the people, and it is a complicated issue. That is my request to you.
Yes. So you have flagged the issue of safety.
And another point is, I want to know whether there is restriction for selling of power by the EV charging station owners, as Mr. Rajput said, that we are giving at rupees 5, but the EV charging station owners are charging at rupees 20 and 22. Is there there should be a policy should come up to check it, because otherwise people may be harassed to charge the.
No, there are guidelines, but yes, we do take your points. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, so
No, if you could please rise,
Yeah.
all of us can see.
Yes, yes, yes. I was about to rise. So, thank you so much. Thank you, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. I'm the CEO of Nexo Mobility. We are OEMs of electric cycles. This is the first forum where I've heard a lot of noise about electric cycles and a special mention for electric cycles, which is not normally seen in any of the government forums wherever I've attended. Thanks for that. Most important thing, what I would want to suggest here as a policy is for the gig workers or the women empowerment, electric cycles would be a very viable option because it will reduce the total cost of operation and a lot of pollution which is there today. Because most of the e-commerce platforms and others are, if there is a policy to utilize this electric cycles for shorter distance, this will definitely help in achieving the goals for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, Dr. Ritu, you have got an evangelist with you. Don't miss him out next time. Yes, there was, yes, please.
Hello, my name is Rana, and I am the founder of Trans Mobility, an innovator of mobile charging solutions. Our solutions are basically based on gas. We run our mission of gas to charging, and now that second mission is waste to charging, waste to mobility. We call it W2M. But unfortunately, our technology is innovative, patented, but it's not recognized in any way in India because there's nothing as such law, rule, or maybe anything within Niti Aayog to recognize it. So we can fall into the category of any kind of a subsidy or any kind of a financial or commercial support. So there is a request from Bureau of Energy Efficiency that whether they can look with such emerging technology which are completely net zero, carbon neutral charging. They take away the grid loads and support the EV mobility without harassing the existing grid. And it can actually go as meet the demand because you do not need to come to charging, but rather the vehicle can go and do the charging. And it's not battery based, by the way, because the battery based mobile charging still requires the infrastructure, still requires the electricity from the grid. But this one is autogenic, means charging on the board. There is no even generator on the system. So we request Bureau of Energy Efficiency to look into it deeply and try to help us out, or people like us who are looking into this sector.
Okay, that's a point that you have raised. Okay, Bureau of Energy Efficiency is right here. So Mr. Bakre sir would be looking into it. Next question, please. Okay, Mr. Tyagi. Last question, maybe. I'm sorry, I can't see this side because of the light. So I'm presuming that from this side, there is absolutely no question. All of them are completely learned ones. Yes, Mr. Tyagi, please. Okay. Somebody has hijacked the mic.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Santlal Gupta from Tata Motors, electric car sales. First of all, I would like to compliment Niti Aayog as well as Ministry of Power, Bureau of Energy Efficiency for organizing such a wonderful event. And I must compliment Niti Aayog on the state EV policy, which you mentioned that now 33 states out of 36, they have formally announced the state EV policies. So my request in this regard is definitely state EV policies has helped faster adoption across the countries wherever the states are proactive in implementing these policies. So there are various states, how Niti Aayog can act there. Our request is where the policies are announced, even notified, but they have yet to hit the ground. So how these policies can be quickly implemented on the ground is our request. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so thank you. You can tell us that which are the states which have notified the policy, but there are some shortfalls in the implementation. We will definitely take them up. So now the last question is from, yes, we have got a lady who wants to ask the question. And Mr. Tyagi, I am giving her preference over you.
Good afternoon. My name is Niharika and I have a question regarding, do we have a guideline for the manufacturers of the EV vehicles? Like how do they decide the life of an EV vehicle? Because if the life of an EV vehicle might range like a normal vehicle, like 10 to 15 years, that it might pose an impact on the scrap material that we are generating. So are we having that particular guideline since we are talking about decarbonization here? So I wanted that dignitaries might help put something on that also.
Okay, that's a valid thing that you have raised, but then this comes under the jurisdiction of DPIT and DHI. But I presume there is a codal life for a vehicle also that has been framed. Yes. Now the last question, really last question, Mr. Tyagi.
Good afternoon. I'm Shri Om Tyagi from Murugappa Group. And Shri is my part of the name. Like, it's not by force. My parents decided that I'll get the respect at every time. So my question is already out to Mr. Sinha. I've been requesting him all the time whenever I come to Niti Aayog. This part of the question is actually to the thinkers here on the dais. Like, when we were formulating a policy for EV promotion, the trucks, mobility part we are talking about, these machines actually consume 35% of our diesel in the country as such. And if a machine consumes 35%, that means it must be polluting the environment 35% at least. Why this kind of machine was left out while making a policy for the support? Mr. Rajput raised another part which was very heartening to me. Electric tractors, we are the pioneers in making electric tractors. We are also coming out with electric tractors, not the smaller ones, but the 30 horsepower, 40 horsepower, 50 horsepower. And your dream will be definitely true in a period of 1.5 years or so. So we are looking at the kind of support. How can we actually have tractors also in this system so that it can be beneficial for the farmers? Tractors has got the linkage with the agriculture ministry also. So that also need to be actually resolved, sir.
Thank you. So like, Mr. Bakre, tractors and trucks, they have to be included also. And electric cycles, I'm sorry. That is, of course, it starts with electric cycles. So with this, we are winding up this particular panel, and I'm sure that you would like to give a big applause to all the panel members for their wonderful response. And also a big applause for me for closing it out on time.
May I please request the August panel to kindly please stay back because we'll now have the presentations from selected state nodal agencies so that they can present their perspectives on the EV infrastructure in their respective states. So in your August presence, ladies and gentlemen, but before we invite the states, ladies and gentlemen, may I please request the chair as well as the other dignitaries on the dais to kindly please release the Electric Vehicle Charging Infrastructure Action Plan report on focusing on public EV charging infrastructure implementation and guide policymakers in 9 lighthouse cities in planning and development of public EV infrastructure. सभी गणमान्य अतिथियों से हम निवेदन करते हैं कि आप प्लीज इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल चार्जिंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एक्शन प्लान EVCI एक्शन प्लान रिपोर्ट को रिलीज करें. Ladies and gentlemen, जोरदार तालियों के साथ धन्यवाद. The EVCI Action Plan report focusing on public EV charging infrastructure implementation. Thank you very much. Moving on to the presentations from selected state nodal agencies to present their perspectives on EV infrastructure in their respective states. So as requested by our elite panel, ladies and gentlemen, before we invite our presentations from the states, may I please request our respected DG sir to kindly please present tokens of acknowledgement and respect for each of our presenters, for each of our speakers today. मैं निवेदन करती हूँ हमारी टीम से कि tokens of acknowledgement, respect and appreciation for each of our presenters, beginning with the chair, Shri Sudhendu Jyoti Sinha ji. और अब निवेदन है समीर पंडिता जी से कि आप प्लीज हमारे अन्य स्पीकर्स को tokens of respect and appreciation present करने की कृपा करें. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank each of our presenters for sharing their perspectives with all of us, for sharing their ideas, their thoughts, their knowledge, their experience. सभी का धन्यवाद, सभी का बहुत बहुत आभार. अपना एक्सपीरियंस किसी के साथ शेयर करना एक ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म पर जो हमें एक अद्भुत अपॉर्चुनिटी, एक नई अपॉर्चुनिटी देता है to learn and cross-learn from each other. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move ahead after this wonderful interactive session that we enjoyed, we move on to the presentations from the selected state nodal agencies to present their perspectives on the EV infrastructure in the respective states. Beginning with Karnataka, may I please invite Shri Mathapati MA from BESCOM. He is DGM in the EV space. Ladies and gentlemen, हम निवेदन करेंगे हमारे सभी स्पीकर्स को कि स्ट्रिक्टली 5 मिनट का समय आप लें. जो तीनों प्रेजेंटेशंस हम इनवाइट कर रहे हैं, 5 मिनट सभी स्पीकर्स को हम निवेदन करेंगे कि आप कृपया स्ट्रिक्टली 5 मिनट्स पे स्टिक करें, बिकॉज वी हैव अ लॉट मेनी थिंग्स विच आर स्टिल पेंडिंग टू बी प्रेजेंटेड. तो सबसे पहले बेस्कॉम से Shri Mathapati MA, please.
Audible. Good afternoon to one and all. We from Bengaluru Electricity Supply Company Limited, BESCOM, being the state nodal agency for implementing EV infrastructure for setting up of EV charging station. Karnataka is now number 1 in India for providing the EV infrastructure. We have set up now around 5,059 EV charging stations in Karnataka. Here is the bifurcation, like by BESCOM itself, we have set up 195, and other ESCOMs have set up 70. Where is the scope to increase more EVs in other ESCOMs of Karnataka? Private firms have set up around 5,117 EV charging stations, and other government departments have set up 21. So like this, we have the bifurcation of how we have arrived this figure of 5,403, out of which we have uploaded in EV Yatra portal, which was developed by Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and they have supported us a lot. I thank really to BE. They have updated the data what we have given within no time. Thank you to Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And here is a analysis what we have quoted during this year 2023-24 up to January. The consumption is around 7,69,111 units with the revenue generation of around 58,56,213. Here the bifurcation is once again depicted here. So we can observe here the ESCOM's 265 charging stations with 394. The same thing is depicted over here. But in the side we can see the number of EV chargers set up by the private. For example, Messrs. Bolt Earth have set up around 4,155 in Karnataka. Whereas Messrs. Geo Charger by Reliance, they have set up around 500. And you can observe the remaining like Aether, Blink, Exponent, etc. And as from the government department, BMTC have set up the chargers of around 110, and KSRTC, Road Transport Corporation of Karnataka State, they have set up around 12 chargers. MEA have 4 and Cradle have 7. Like this, 133 charges by the government departments, other government departments, excluding BESCOMs. So we have set up around 265 with all the ESCOMs. And here we have different categories of chargers, like slow chargers we have 4,555 and AC type 001 and type 2 AC are 161. And we have fast chargers of DC 001 502 and CCS2 of 96 chargers. Initiatives taken by the government of Karnataka. As sir said that our state was the first to implement the EV policy, which was issued by MOP, because of which we have achieved this progress of ranking 1 in country. So we are strictly implementing the electrical vehicle policy, and also we are now it's till now it was in force, and we have recently we are going to update or amend the EV policy. We are bringing the amendment in the EV policies according to the requirements of the stakeholders or users, etc. We are effectively working with the guidelines, or we can say with the regulatory conditions of supply, where the conditions of supplies are also relaxed as per the requisition raised by the EV users as well as charge point operators, we can say. Recently, one amendment has been done from the KERC, as there was a hurdle in setting up of EV charging station at petrol bunks of IOCs. The problem was that there was a mandate of transformer to be set up in the petrol pump. If the load is more than 25 kilowatt, requisition load, if it is more than 25 kilowatt, as per our conditions of supply, the consumer has to set up the transformer in his premises. This is the COS of Karnataka Electricity Regulatory Commission. But IOC, Oil Corporation of IOC has requested the KERC to, this condition has to be relaxed. However, we are going to pay the amount whatever is required for creating the infra for arranging power supply to the EV chargers which are to be set up at petrol pumps. But they proposed in such a way that it is a hazardous one which we cannot set up the transformer in the petrol pumps. So for their requisition, KERC has relaxed this. KERC has directed all electricity companies to supply the power supply to these petrol pumps from the existing infra, or by setting up the transformer in the public place, not in the petrol pump premises, which is a hazardous. So like that, we are encouraging or we are promoting the EV, we are supporting the EV installers. We are also facilitating them by arranging power supply within no time. We are not delaying. We are arranging power supply at the early stage. KERC, we are provided a subsidized tariff under LT6C category with the tariff of rupees 4.5. Comparatively, it is cheaper. As I have heard from Odisha, it is 5. They have reduced from 6 to 5 rupees per unit. We are already implemented just 4 rupees 50 paisa. Here we have the EVs in India. Total EVs in India are around 37,67,000, out of which in Karnataka we have EVs 3,37,000. The penetration is needed in the rural areas. So on that also we are working, and we stand third position in the country with bus and heavy vehicles of around 1,423, cars 25,608, two-wheelers 2,97,109, and three-wheelers are around 42,000. Electric mobility user challenges, as we all know, the first challenge is infrastructure. To encourage the EV users, facility of charging is very important. As just our dignitaries have discussed, charging must be provided here, provided there, at daytime. So in that way, we are keeping those points in our mind, and we are in Karnataka, we are providing in the same way what has been discussed like here. And the requisitions are also coming very recently, police commissioner, Karnataka, police commissioner sir from Bangalore, they have called me and they are asking me to set up a charging station in their premises for their own employees. So we went and we have guided them. And we have constructed recently Indana Bhavan in Bangalore. They are also asking us to have a EV charging station. For them also we are providing and we are boosting. And range anxiety. For this, we have taken one of the national highway that is from Bangalore to Belagavi, one national highway where we are going to set up the number of charging stations near toll plazas. And also we are going to carry out the survey along the state highways. In that way, we are increasing the range and we are reducing the anxiety which are rising due to range. Data availability related to e-mobility, for this we have software and we have apps. And awareness programs, we are also bringing another 2 minutes. I need 2 minutes only, ma'am. Thank you. Awareness, for this awareness programs, we have conducted so many activities like EV Abhiyana, Jagrati, EV Expo, and also we have conducted rallies in Bangalore city and Mysuru. So here, as I said, we are planned for NH to set up the chargers along the national highway, state highways. Apart from that, 50 EVs, we are setting up our own BESCOM and electricity offices which are near to the highways. Then RTO is funding us money to set up the charging stations at RTO offices. Initially, they have given us 11 RTO locations in the entire state, and we have called the tender of for setting up the chargers in RTO offices. Around another one model, what we call triple B model. Under this model, in 31 districts, we have 31 districts in Karnataka. We are going to set up minimum of 20 chargers in each districts under the triple P model. So we have planned for 1,190 EVCS in 31 districts. Already we have awarded for 9 districts of around 530 stations. The remaining 22 districts tenders are going to be called, for which we are calling now and then EV stakeholders meetings. We are discussing with them whatever the problems they are facing, or in order to participate in the tender, what are the tender conditions are to be relaxed. Such kinds of things we are discussing with the EV stakeholders in order to promote them, in order to support them, in order to bring more EVs to have, in order to make what we say net zero emission in Karnataka. So these are the initiations taken up by BESCOMs. One is we have one state, one app, that is EV Mitra app, where it facilitates so many features to the users in order to get the charge. And we are setting up a EV charging hub near International Airport at Bangalore, Kempegowda International Airport, which is of different kind, and it's of first kind in India, with 24 cars charging at a time with solar and second life batteries integrated EVCS in coordination with GIZ, to be completed by April 2000. We have targeted for 2024. This is different kind where we would want to use solar as well as second life batteries. Next, we are carrying out the impact of EV on the grid, and yes. Ho gaya last slide. EV accelerator cell also we are setting up, for which I must say thanks to Bureau of Energy Efficiency, they have funded 50 lakhs rupees to us, and we are in the finalization of the tender. And EV charger locations information access to public. We have, however, EV Yatra portal. In that portal, we have uploaded the details of all EV charging stations. We have Bangalore Smart City portal. We have MAP, My India portal. Another one app we are developing for single window for EV infrastructure, where all private EV installers are facing problem of getting the power supply connection to their EV charging stations. So for that, they can directly register from this single window infrastructure, and they can avail the power in the entire Karnataka state. They need not to go individual subdivision offices of electricity board. And also we have proposed for a single part tariff where FC, most of the EV charging station installers, they are asking for a single part tariff. They want to relax from, they don't want to pay FCs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. बहुत आभार. Thank you for letting us know your perspectives and experiences from Karnataka, which could be motivating and helpful for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, very quickly from Telangana, we would now be inviting the presentation. May I please request VC and MD TS Redco, Shri N. Janayaji, to kindly please share his perspectives from the state of Telangana with all of us. जोरदार तालियों के साथ आइए स्वागत करते हैं एक बार फिर से श्री एन जनैया.
You can change by this. Yeah, you can give. So actually the installation of charging stations is more important aspect when we are switching to the e-mobility, and fast adoption of these things is the need of the hour. And Telangana is only the unique state where we are providing the retrofitment of three-wheeler auto, where the state government is providing us 15,000 kilowatt hour for each battery capacity of a three-wheeler auto, 2 to 3 kilowatt hour. We are providing 15,000 for each kilowatt hour for their replacement of the existing diesel and diesel in petrol three-wheeler auto segment. Thereby, we have already completed retrofitment of around 300 vehicles in the state of Telangana so far, exclusively for the Hyderabad so far actually. And government utilization ke liye, we have also adapted to take at least 10%. Our government is mandated to be on EV segment. All the government vehicles, either owned or contractual, whatever may be the vehicles, 10% of the vehicles should be e-vehicles. And we have installed around 150 DC fast charging stations in the GHMC, Great Hyderabad Municipal Corporation area, where we are being funded by the National Clean Air Program for the implement of air quality management. In that, exclusively 72 DC fast charging stations were already completed and around 78 are under progress, purely owned by the TS Redco and managed by our corporation only with the incentivized tariff structure. And till now, 49 charges are under operational and developed exclusively an app from our own segment, the TS EV mobile app, to operate these EV charges. And also we are implementing all the RE generation solar plants for all state highways and also the national highways with the integration of these charging stations so that we will have greener EV charging station. And we are having so far 98,911 electric vehicles registered in the state of, but thus by offering 379 crore rupees in the form of tax exemptions so far in the state. Till around 502 charging stations are set up by the charge point operators privately in the state so far. And the tariff structure is designed under LT9 and HT9 category with the TOD mechanism. And our ceiling cost of that tariff is 12 rupees 6 paisa, whereas private operator are paying around 20 rupees per kilowatt hour. And in Hyderabad exclusively, we are planning to have 3 charging hubs in all the corners, including one in the airport, which will be having 1 acre facility with the more than 50 cars, multiple vertical charging mechanism. These are the model stations where we are having in Hyderabad. One is the Seven Tombs, which is famous of Nizams, and one Durgam Cheru, which is near to the high-tech city, and also one at the regional passport office in Hyderabad. And we have called for the expression of interest for the charge point operators for installation of public charging stations in the private-public partnership model. Around 35 now, number of charge pointers operators were already came forward and they have signed an agreement with us. and 615 locations of all the government departments were being handed over to these charge point operators across the state, and 615 locations were already under progress, and 124 locations were already charged by these CPOs. And we have organized two Go Electric campaigns for the best awareness of the campaigning on the e-mobility segment. And these are the various GOs being adopted by our state government, where we can have implementation mechanism and also the need to the people. These are the photographs of the our Go Electric campaign. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, sir, for your enlightening presentation. और समय से खत्म करने के लिए भी बहुत-बहुत आभार. It was very precise. Thank you very much. And very quickly, moving on to the third presentation from the state, which is from the West Bengal. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Engineer Mr. Pathik Nayak will be addressing us from WBSEDCL. जोरदार तालियों के साथ अभिनंदन करते हैं श्री पथिक नायक का.
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries and all my friends and colleagues present in the dais and as well as in the gallery. Now I start my presentation. I am from the WBSEDCL. In the West Bengal, the WBSEDCL has been appointed as the state nodal agency for EBCS, construction of EBCS by the Department of Power. So we have formulated our EV policy in the year 2021. And in the EV policy, we have written the vision and mission. Probably all you know that West Bengal has a great history. From in the year 1873, first EV electric tram has been run in the Kolkata city. So with that back in mind, we have constitution our vision and mission. And as well as in the EV policy, we have fixed up our objective and target. According to our EV policy, we have fixed up that 10 lakhs EVs. We have to create within the policy period of 5 years, and we have to constitute the 1 lakh public and semi-public charging station. And our motto is to maintain the EV public charge point 1:8. Now, according to our EV policy, we have already constituted the EV accelerator cell as per guideline of the BE, and which was funded by the BE also. Thank you for the BE. And the function of the EV accelerator cell, all we know that the departmental coordination, the main coordination with the transport department or the urban development department or department coordination is a vital part of the EV accelerator cell. And regarding our tariff, we have fixed up by our regulatory commission tariff, single part tariff of rupees 5.5, single part tariff. And we have established the charge point operator also. And we have fixed up the 4 cities where initially we have to set up the charging station: Kolkata, Asansol, Darjeeling and Howrah. And nearby Kolkata, New Town is the pilot project, pilot city for this new initiative. Now this is the e-mobility incentive. What are the incentive from the e-mobility? Exemption of the vehicle registration cost and the exemption of the road tax. And one of the unique facility we are providing, the back-end electrical infrastructure for construction of the EV charging station, which is a major part. And one of my colleagues from the dais also raised this issue. So we are providing from the WBSEDCL, we are providing that cost. The CPO who will construct the charging station, they need not to invest for this connection, electric connection part. We are providing that cost. And secondly, another one, we have already through our ERC, we have that EV, he can apply at any places, anyone can apply for the EV. Whether there is any domestic connection is there, whether commercial connection is there, that is not the matter. We will provide the connection at the existing premises also. That is also formed in our policy guideline. Now, presently, this is the current scenario. Current scenario in West Bengal is the 80,000 registered EV is there, out of which mainly 3-wheeler is the most significant part. And after this waiver of the registration cost and the road tax, which was done in the year 2022, then this EV penetration is increased almost 100%. Now, this is the charging infrastructure which are available in our state. This is the West Bengal map, and all the charging stations are plotted there in the map. So, from the different government department or different private public department, we have these 308 number of the charging station presently available in India, in West Bengal. Now, as a WBSDCL, as a SNA, we have taken up some initiative. For their land is a big issue for construction of the charging station. That's why in our state we have decided where there is a vacant land of the government department in any of our substation or any of our hospital premises, any of our urban development department, different premises are there. Where there is a vacant space, we have collected that space and we will provide that space to the CPO for construction of the charging station as a PPP model. So we have taken that initiative, and accordingly we have started floating the tender. Our target is initially 854 charging stations to be constructed, out of which in the first phase we have already placed order for 51 number charging station, and second phase 53 number, and third phase 84 number. Many private parties like Reliance, Adani, they are also participated in the tender, and we have already placed the order to that parties, and some new companies also there who are just formulated the company and taken the initiative. And our target is this first phase 51 charging station we have to inaugurate by March 2024, and second phase these 59, second phase by August 2024, and these 84 which were placed order in the third phase will be inaugurated by the October 2024. This is our initiative. And besides above, we have targeted the housing complex also. Presently, through the Urban Development Department, in the present guideline, for the new housing complex where there is a more than 100 flats are there is a mandatory to construct the EV charging station in that premises. But what about the previous one, which has already been constructed and no guideline is there? So we call that housing complexes. We have seen that there are three bottlenecks. These three are the bottleneck: lack of the awareness, technical difficulties, and society clearance in case of high-rise buildings. So we call them from the SNA. We call them to all the housing complex secretary and president. We call them, and we will done one workshop under the banner of the Go Electric campaign in our headquarters, where almost 50 housing complex president and secretary attended the meeting. We have done this awareness campaign, why this is need, why there is a requirement, and after this we have done the pre-study, technical study. What is the if we construct the charging station in the housing complex, what is the difficulties? If there is any difficulties, we will clear up that. Our CPO who are doing the charging infrastructure, we have engaged that free of cost for this study. And the housing complex are also very glad to accept that. Out of the 50 housing complex who are attending the meeting, almost 26 housing complex, they have given their mandate, okay, we will go for the construction of the charging station. This program was started just 4 months back, and already there are 7 charging stations already been constructed in the housing complexes, and this is a very good response. We expect that all housing complexes will be covered in this way. And this is the housing complex. These two models are there. One is the CAPEX model and another is the OPEX model. So housing complex can choose whatever the model they can opt for. Thank you. This is some photograph. Thank you.
Thank you very much. जोरदार तालियां इस बहुत ही अच्छी interesting presentation के लिए. I read somewhere that community is not just another stakeholder in the business, but the very purpose of existence of any enterprise. So may the findings and innovations be beneficial to the entire humanity. I think this is the only cause all of us should be working for. Ladies and gentlemen, before we actually disperse for lunch, we have memorandums of understanding which will now be signed. Ladies and gentlemen, the first MOU which will be signed now, is between BEE and IIT Roorkee. This is regarding the R&D project on lime-free conversion of green liquor to caustic soda without solid waste generation, reduced water consumption, minimized carbon footprint and particulate emissions approaching zero liquid discharge. From BEE, may I please invite Dr. Ashok Kumar, DDG, and from IIT Roorkee, may I please invite Professor Dr. Sujoy Chattopadhyay to please join us, and also Shri Abhay Bakreji, DGB, to also join in for signing off this MOU. This is regarding the R&D project on lime-free conversion of green liquor to caustic soda. Without solid waste generation, reduced water consumption, minimized carbon footprints, and particulate emissions approaching zero liquid discharge. MOU between BE and IIT Roorkee. Zordar Talia, please join hands. May this be really beneficial to the community. Thank you very much. This was the MOU between BEE and IIT Roorkee. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another MOU now. The MOU between BEE and IIT Madras. This is for collaborating on research, development, demonstration, training, and knowledge exchange for energy efficiency and decarbonization projects. Ladies and gentlemen, from BEE, may I please invite Dr. Ashok Kumar, and from IIT Madras, Professor Satya Narayan Sheshadri. He is Associate Professor, Department of Applied Mechanics. And of course, Shri Abhay Bakreji will join in, DGB. जोरदार तालियों के साथ बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं. Many congratulations for this MOU. Ladies and gentlemen, before we finally disperse, there is a poster launch on Life Mission. हम सब जानते हैं प्रधानमंत्री महोदय ने Life Mission के बारे में जो कहा है. There is a poster launch, and for that, may I please request DGB, also Shri Sudhendu Jyoti Sinha ji, Advisor Niti Aayog, to please join in. BE के सभी डायरेक्टर्स, सभी सेक्रेटरीज, मीडिया एडवाइजर्स, प्लीज मंच पे हमें ज्वाइन करें फॉर दिस पोस्टर लॉन्च ऑन लाइफ मिशन. सभी डायरेक्टर्स, सेक्रेटरीज एंड मीडिया एडवाइजर फ्रॉम BE. Lifestyle for environment. जोरदार तालियां सभी की ओर से. लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरमेंट. ऐसा लाइफस्टाइल हो हमारा जो एनवायरमेंट के लिए शुभ हो, मंगल हो. आज के रिसोर्सेस हम प्रिजर्व कर सकें कल के लिए. This is really wonderful. Also calls for a picture-perfect moment. Poster launch on the Life Mission. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. इसी के साथ हम निवेदन करते हैं कि सभी लोग प्लीज भोजन के लिए प्रस्थान करें, और लगभग आधे घंटे में लौट कर आए इन 30 minutes we have to come back for the felicitations, the awards और awards के पश्चात एक final session, एक panel discussion जिसके लिए हम सब लोग उत्साहित हैं. So we'll after we assemble begin with the felicitations और award ceremony के बाद हम अपनी final panel discussion शुरू करेंगे. In 30 minutes, may I please request you to reassemble. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Time to break for lunch.